Welcome to Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. We talk all things MCU, the madness of it all, and then the moonness of it all.
Rolls right off the tongue. The moonness.
The moonness. This has been such a busy week. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness released a couple days ago, and also the day before that, the finale to the Disney Plus series Moon Knight. Episode 6, Gods and Monsters, released. So I guess some people watched this finale and then took some sleeping pills, went right back to bed, and then woke up in time for their Doctor Strange screening. That's totally possible. And someone who did do that is our guest for this week's show, Brent. Brent?
I did. I took 30 grams of milligrams of melatonin. I said I'm not gonna see this waking world until I'm in the Strange screening, and I had someone carry me to that screening, and I woke up in the theater, so I had no break from MCU.
And you're about to go into hibernation until Miss Marvel, right? Or
that's right, yeah.
Or Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder. I'm taking a
siesta.
What do you call it? A siesta for 2 months. I'm going down for the hard nap. That means death, doesn't it?
Yeah, suddenly this became very weird. I don't like this.
I don't like where this joke went. I apologize.
But this is we're really excited. So obviously we're talking about Moon Knight. You've seen the title of this episode. Tomorrow or later on, we'll talk more multiverse, and then on Patreon, we for sure are talking about multiverse. So don't worry, it's not like we ignored that giant movie that came out. Sorry, but you know what? Let's take a little sidebar. Brent, what do you think about that Avatar trailer? Please keep it under 30 minutes, okay?
Under 30 minutes. Well, this episode's now going to be well over an hour. You know. I was pretty whelmed by it. It was kind of what I was expecting. Like I told Adam, because Adam was like, "Hey, report back. We got to tell me about that Jimmy Cam's trailer." We covered him on Director Showdown a while back, and so like we're vested. We're vested in this movie. He's very cynical about it. I'm very optimistic. It's got like breathtaking visuals. And like vistas and creatures and all this stuff.
It's a vibe video.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I rewatched it earlier, because it kind of leaked on Reddit. And so it's very just vibes. Like I really think that it's Disney or their marketing team, whatever, just wanting to kind of reintroduce the world.
Remember this?
Hey, remember Jake? Jake, I don't remember his fucking last name, but Neytiri, the Na'vi and Pandora and all that stuff. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. James Cameron, you can't really doubt him because I just feel like thrives on that. And anytime people have been like, "Oh, this thing's going to be a mess," even though I don't like love Avatar, the first one, the theater going experience was like incredible. I put that movie on like my top 10 of the year because of just like the experience of seeing it in the theater. I do think that it would have been a more profound trailer viewing experience if it was in 3D, because that adds so much to the kind of impact, I think, of his filmmaking. But it did what I kind of expected it to do. And I think the movie is going to be better than the trailer kind of sets up. So I liked it. Yeah.
Avatar: The Way of Water. We got to do a countdown to water or a countdown to Avatar or something, and watch a minute of each of those really long special effects movies. But here's what I'll say about Jimmy Cameron. Good old James Cameron. People always assume that his movies are going to be like the Titanic and sink. But James Cameron, he's the iceberg. You better watch out for James Cam. All right. Well, let's talk about another space-related thing, and that's the moon, because it triggers Mark Spector and gives power to Khonshu. And we're talking Moon Knight, episode 6, Gods and Monsters. Look, this is the finale. We assumed that Khonshu would get out, which he did. We knew that Amit would be released, which she's out. Arthur Harrow is able to really have like this giant Amit, kind of taller than the pyramids, ready to consume and judge souls across the galaxy.
Yeah.
We get a nice reunion between Stephen Grant and Mark Spector. And then, of course, we've got some really great reveals towards the end with Layla and the Scarlet Scarab and, a third gentleman caller, I would say.
Yeah.
A little bit of deja vu, too. It kind of starts where it ended. And we get, some goldfish action. But, Brent, what did you think about the finale of Moon Knight? What did you think about it?
I thought it was really great. I really enjoyed it. If people have been listening to any episodes, I've been on a couple of these Moon Knight episodes.
It's kind of like the show has many different identities as well. Because sometimes it's Sophia, sometimes it's Brent. You're never in the same room at once.
No, we're all just different people inside of your brain. But people can hear a different voice.
That would mean that I'm Khonshu. I think in this metaphor.
Khonshu Pod, rename it.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to you like he does. Brent.
In F. Murray Abraham's voice.
I can't do it, but I'll try. Yeah.
Emmanuel. I can't do it either.
You've got to kill him.
That's okay. That's not bad. No, I thought it was really great. And I was a little bit like, how are they going to wrap all of this up in the final episode? And then I saw like the final episode's like something like 42 minutes or something. And I was like, oh, this is going to be quick. And it is quick. It's like a very jam-packed episode. A lot happens in it. But I thought it was really gratifying. And what I was going to say is that like, I've said it before, but like I'm new to Moon Knight. I know essentially nothing about Moon Knight going into this show. And so it was just a really gratifying experience to kind of like, to learn about this character and his different personalities and kind of the journey that he takes in the show, into the afterlife, back to the real world. It was a lot of fun, and I had a thought and it's just escaped my mind. But big fan of Moon Knight. It's maybe I don't know. It's up there for like MCU shows that Disney Plus has done. I just really enjoyed it. It's like a quick 6 episodes. Oscar Isaac is just out of this fucking world on this show. He's so good. And yeah, I thought it had a really kind of satisfying ending that like obviously leaves questions to hopefully be conclude or like figured out in the future, even though it seems like Oscar Isaac is very kind of like, we'll see, because I think he only signed on for this
show.
Yeah, this like first season, and that's kind of like all his contract kind of stipulated. So I think he's very much like, you show me the quality material and I'll come back when you have it, Yeah. So I hope that happens, because it, there are definitely some questions left unanswered. A new dark, very dark personality out there, taking care of some messy business, but I thought it was great.
Yeah, you brought up a really interesting point, and that Oscar Isaacs isn't signed on for more of these. We had a pretty glaring omission of that thing that the MCU does, which is Moon Knight will return, or Moon Knight will return here. That didn't happen in this show, right. And there's really no significant connection to the MCU here. Like, this could be a different multiverse or universe, because we don't have a captain. And apparently, the directors say that they were offered many connections in, and they said, no, we're good without it, which I think is pretty admirable.
That is really admirable. I was expecting something, and the fact that they went all 6 episodes being like a self-contained story that I thought, more than pretty much all the other shows, is very character focused about, this guy and his relationship to his other kind of parts of himself, basically. That is really admirable. I kind of like that they did that.
Yeah. His name, just so everyone knows who to credit, Mohammed Diab, who directed a lot of these episodes too. But yeah, it's pretty neat. And I think that, the rumor was it was going to be an Eternals connection. But
Right.
let's talk about this episode. I thought it was really fun. This is the action-packed episode, and it is seeming that this is kind of what happens in the show specifically is the second to last episode is all about the emotional journey and catharsis. I mean, the last episode before this was literally a revisitation of his past and kind of a mental check on the moments and even what creates Stephen Grant, his other personality, or sorry,
Yeah.
his other identity. And then this one is all about I think like big fights, big moments, key decisions happening, a new superhero in Layla. And then we've got like some, I would say like some hectic magic happening, containing Arthur Harrow becomes the avatar for Amit, but at the same time there's a giant Amit fighting, and Khonshu fights at the same time as Moon Knight, and Scarlet Scarab is teaming up and taking down the goons.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot happening in this. It's really impressive action wise. And there's also like a cool there's also like a cool way that they kind of wrap it up. Two goldfish. So it's assuming that Steven and Mark have some kind of a resolution together. At least they manage each other a little bit better. What's interesting too is Khonshu tells them that they're free at the end of this. And then we find out not real. It's kind of jumping around here, but at the end, everything that everybody wanted and predicted, Jake Lockley, just another identity, kind of the hinted. It's kind of been hinted at with this kind of violent person version of Mark Spector, one that cuts out, and when he comes back in, if everything's bloody, it happens again here.
Yeah.
What do you think about Jake Lockley? What do you think about the introduction, or actually the unveiling of that character?
I thought it was really well done. It's a thing that, like, ever since I forget which episode, 2 or 3, that he first has a kind of blackout and we're like, oh, there's another person here. I think the way they went about it is really clever, where it's like when Khonshu is telling them, promising them that they will be free.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because it's kind of like a clever little trick that he pulls on them, because it's like, yes, they are they're like, their personas are free, but what they don't know is that Jake Lockley is, this third personality who is totally down to do Khonshu's business. And that's to me, that's the biggest kind of lingering question, is like, what is that character's deal?
Yeah.
Like, why is he so, doubling down on Khonshu's bidding and stuff like that? And it's it's a really, I think, good reveal to have at the end, and it would just make it more frustrating than anything if they don't do
another. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it does it. You're right, and they made that cognizant decision to not include a third identity. This entire series has been Mark and Steven, and honestly, it's been about their relationship more than anything else, even more than Layla and Arthur Harrow's relationship. It's been kind of Steven and Mark figuring out how to deal with each other. They are fighting in the beginning of the show. There's a lot of mirror talk, reflection talk happening. And then we're actually diving into their psyche when they're, on the boat to the afterlife. And they have the resolution in this one whenever Mark goes back to save him, and and at really high stakes too. I mean, Tara tells him, like, you don't come back here. If you leave, you don't get to come back to the field of reeds. And he still does it to save Steven. He even tells Steven, I think, like, you're the only superhero I've ever had, or something, because he helped him deal with something in the past. So it's great that they have such resolution at the end. But you're right, the introduction of Jake Lockley, a seemingly more violent, inspired from the comic books, as like a taxi cab driver kind of streetwise guy, like the introduction of him creates that conflict between like two people, Steven and Mark, and then a third guy that they kind of don't even know. So it's fun to think about, but really frustrating if nothing happens beyond saying
Definitely.
like, oh, he's reverted back and Khonshu's still around, and that's how it is. That's just the way it is now.
Yeah, I speaking to the Mark and Steven of it all though, that's like that's the heart of the show. Like
Yeah.
that's I truly didn't expect Mark to go back for Steven in this.
Yeah,
I
we thought he
that
was
kind of,
Gonzo.
yeah, I was like he'll come back to life, but I feel like part of his acceptance and the kind of equaling out of the scales is that like he maybe doesn't need Steven anymore. But it's like I love that they give Steven like he is his own person. He's like fully his own person. So,
Yeah.
and I think that kind of conclusion of them kind of working together and like switching off, and especially when they're in the Moon Knight costume and it's jumping back and forth. It's such a cool visual, but it's also neat because it's thematic too. Like they're basically like handshaking, like, all right, or
It's
no,
your
what's the
turn.
better term? Like
Handshake.
tapping in, like they're like like
Ooh,
all right,
passing the baton. Oh no, is that something? I don't know if that's something.
that's something. I think passing the baton, like, hey, this is more your strength now. Like they each have their own strengths, and kind of a crazy, the fact that like it is kind of like the Daredevil thing where it's like I won't say weakness or disability, but it's like something that could be seen, is seen as detrimental to like his mental health is very much his superpower. Like the fact that like he is like 2 or 3 different people all with their own strengths. It's a really cool thing to have pulled off on the show.
Yeah, I like that because it is incredibly unique to Moon Knight and to Mark Spector in a way. And we finally get to see a really good the fight scene, I think, that would exist if Moon Knight was in a movie, which was him handing off between Mr. Knight and Moon Knight, and then also with Scarlet Scarab, having a fight scene where they are switching back and forth, and visually too, a lot of really amazing stuff. I talked about the giant gods fighting, but they're fighting in the background, and in the foreground, you've got this stuff going on. It's like if during like a Godzilla attack, 2 people started just like going at it or something, and you're like, oh my god, like do you guys see what's happening behind you? But it's really cool and fun, but also it's maybe one of the things that makes him unique. But also one of the tragic parts of this, which is Khonshu clearly understands how having multiple identities would benefit him because he could make different bargains with the same person, basically.
Yeah, and not hit on this again because we've already talked about it, but it's like I want to see how Jake Lockley got created. Like which moment, if it is maybe
that's true.
The kind of trauma of the stuff with Layla's dad, like when he was a merc, if like doing all the kind of getting his hands dirty, doing his work created that dark persona.
I've got a theory about that, which is really, it's not based on anything like the comic books or anything, but we never actually see the mercenary that Mark says killed Layla's dad. Like we don't know who it is. We don't see it. But what if it's, something that is really traumatic and he created Jake, and Jake actually killed Layla's dad.
I think you could maybe say that is how they want you to read that this season, because it's like
true
when he wakes up and then goes and like finds Khonshu, becomes Moon Knight. He like wakes up. He like wakes up from from my memory, at least, like from seemingly being blacked out.
Yeah.
So I think that is probably
definitely, which is a different, ball game when it comes to whether Layla will forgive him or not, because now it's, some other thing. And then here's another twist. Hey, writers of Moon Knight season 2, take this if you want, but what if Layla's dad tried to kill him or something, and he's bad?
Ooh,
and so Jake,
is bad.
came out. I'm sorry. Hey, sorry everyone. Copyright. Poor man's copyright. It's copyright right now. Conflict.
Deadline just reported Emmanuel Delphin hired to Moon Knight season 2 writer room.
I don't think I'm qualified, and also no, don't, no, thank you. I don't want to touch that. I don't want to touch anything Disney right now, Brent. Toxic. I'm just kidding. There's some other really cool parts of this, and I think that there's something we haven't brought up yet. I've noticed it and I've read it. Articles about it, but the fact that there are multiple QR codes hidden in this show, which is, first of all, insane, because they are really leaning into the borderline conspiracy theory / freeze every frame of this
ARG. They're bringing back the ARG shit again.
And you know what? They got this, I think, from maybe when we were all trying to get Mephisto into WandaVision. It's so funny. Actually, the director said it's crazy how Jake Lockley is the #1 trending thing for Moon Knight, but he doesn't appear in most of the series, but Jake Lockley is the #1 thing people are typing. But these QR codes lead to certain things. Some of them are posters for Moon Knight, exclusive things like that. The final QR code, which is in the scene where Arthur Harrow is being wheeled out of that psychiatric hospital at the end, or I guess at the mid-credit scene, that QR code leads you to a comic book with Kang the Conqueror fighting Moon Knight. And nobody knows what that means or why that exists in the hospital, but forget that part. But, interesting to note that, like, if they aren't going to go out there and say that Oscar Isaac is back and signed a thing, they're at least kind of alluding and winking towards some giant battle. And if it means that Moon Knight just cameos in whatever this giant Kang the Conqueror event film is, I think we really have seen, we're going to see Moon Knight more at some point, because of that QR code. People don't know this. I'm like writing on a giant dry erase board. Well, yeah, I'm drinking coffee. guys, look at this QR code I just scanned. But I guess this is kind of leading us to a discussion about the future of Moon Knight. What do you think about Moon Knight and the MCU? Oscar Isaac isn't signed on for anything else, which is, I think, just a smart move. He's one of the guys, I think, in terms of an actors, he probably wants to read the scripts before just carte blanche saying he's in. But what do you think about the future of Moon Knight?
I think he's definitely going to be back in some capacity. If not for season 2, then in one of the films down the line. I think that's so interesting about the Kang thing, because that makes me kind of think that this might just be a different multiverse. I mean, the multiverse is in play. We talked about this in the last episode. But that's fascinating. Yeah, I think we definitely haven't seen the last of him. I mean, you don't get somebody like Oscar Isaac who kills it this hard and leave that, book sitting on the shelf. Like you
want him. You're actively engaging with Oscar
I mean,
Isaac.
just one of, if not the best, most successful, just most beloved actor maybe working today. Like you want to keep him in play. So he's coming back.
Well, this leads me to, so let's talk about Moon Knight, the show, just generally. I guess I'll talk a little bit about it, and then I'll ask you, but I'll ask you what you thought of Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight, the show, just overall. I thought it was I think from start to finish, the show has been a pretty unique outing for the MCU. Part of that, of course, Oscar Isaacs, who just has so much charisma, and in this series is playing multiple characters, which is no easy feat ever. He is absolutely committing, and at some points doing the switch on camera for us, full accent, full temperament, body language switch on camera, which is really fantastic to see. And then I think the other part of this is the fantastic team that has written and directed most of these episodes, the producers who brought a lot of authenticity to the Egyptian mythology and just kind of the setting of Cairo, which I think was really admirable. But just visually, this was a very different kind of show, which I appreciated. Like the reflection stuff at the beginning, but then all of the really big sweeping stuff that happens even in the action sequences, which were kind of few and far between. There wasn't a ton of action sequences in every single episode, but I thought it was an incredibly unique show and really successful on a lot of the fronts it was going for, and very, very nuanced. I mean, there were like surreal, there were episodes that were taking place in the afterlife that included super surreal moments, like when Harrow was his psychiatrist. Like that stuff was next level, throw a wrench into the story and see what we come out with. I thought it was really fun. But Brent, what do you think about Oscar Isaacs? Very charismatic, sexy, but kind of tortured dude. And what do you think about Moon Knight the show?
I think the star of the show is Oscar Isaac. Like, literally and figuratively. I think that like his performance here, especially when you get into the last couple episodes where he's doing that kind of character switch, just right there on camera. It's just almost a superpower in and of itself. Like that, I'm so excited to see Moon Knight show up again, because it's like you're going to get a wild Oscar Isaac performance, and I think you could do so much fun stuff with a guy who has multiple personalities and can kind of jump between them because they each have different strengths, or they're even just communicating with each other. That's such a fun concept. But yeah, for me, Moon Knight was a great time because it, like I said, is my introduction to the character. We're getting into a really exciting time where, at least through Thanos and stuff, I had a familiarity with the characters and the source material generally, not all of it. But I think we're really getting into a phase now where it's like, especially stuff like Kang, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel is the show, right?
Yes.
Characters like that. Ironheart. It's going to be really exciting because it's truly going to be like all fresh stuff for me. And when it's executed this well, it's just going to be really exciting. So I really, really liked Moon Knight. We didn't really talk about Scarlet Scarab. I thought that whole thing with like Towerette choosing her to be kind of, her like accepting
Avatar
to be her avatar.
And you know what? That's a great point, because she also denies Khonshu's kind of proposition, because he says, I want to be, I want to. Okay, I was gonna craft a really bad sentence in a little bit, but she declined to be his avatar, which honestly pretty damn smart considering who Khonshu
she's
is.
like, no, you, Stephen, Mark,
liar.
both of them don't trust you. You're not gonna let me have my own life back. Basically, it's a smart move. But yeah, Towerette's way more chill, and is like, I love Towerette in that, where she's like, oh, I have such a great costume idea, and the costume looks badass. It's like a really cool. You have that nice moment with the girl who's like, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" And she's like, "Yeah." Just a really cool moment. Yeah,
it looks like the necklace that Towerette has, I believe, and I think Layla wears it in her costume or something. The wings, the golden wings.
Yeah, you're right.
I want to call this out. This is the actress who voices Towerette, Antonia Salib. It's like her only credit so far. I guess she did like a blind audition. She didn't even know it was a Marvel thing, and now she's in the MCU playing, the hippo goddess of birth and motherhood.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, I guess she will come back because Scarlet Scarab is out there now. They're not just going to take her off the field. So that's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. I think that there's going to be a lot more Moon Knight to come. I think a second season might happen. I think it's all dependent on Oscar. I mean, it's kind of a boring answer. It kind of just depends on Oscar Isaac's schedule. He's shooting. Well, actually, he's spoiler alert. He's done with Dune movies, but like he's got other stuff, like on the pipe, I'm sure. So I bet it's all just revolving around when he has free time to do it. But I would happily revisit the Moon Knight-averse at any point, just because it's so unique and it's really, really a fun moment. And honestly, like this may seem super shallow, but I thought we could have used way more action sequences. I want to see all that Moon Knight stuff and Scarlet Scarab teaming up, like just a handful of fights. Let's get them like, murdering tons of zombies or whatever in the afterlife.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that much either, I guess, but like that final fight really is so good. And I was like laughing when I noticed that Khonshu and Ahmet were massive now for some reason. I was like, that feels very.
We talked about this a little bit, but because this is just that love affair with Marvel, and when it's time for the final fight, and you need the stakes to be really huge, they'll get pretty huge. Like they'll make sure that the stakes are
drag the edge of that character animation. Just stretch it up, stretch it up, stretch it up. I just found it very funny, but I really did still really like that it was. They had their fight going on, and that was kind of the big Marvel thing. But really, the focus was the Moon Knights and Scarlet Scarab and Arthur Harrow, an H. And I did like that it was still, it felt relatively small compared to most Marvel things, even though there were a couple of giant, Power Ranger villains fighting on the giant pyramid.
Yeah. But what a power! Khonshu has like, my God, you can change the sky,
crazy powers.
Yeah. And you know what? This is also something that could be important for the future of Moon Knight. Is there's kind of a lot of the comic books always have the issues after big events like this are these characters dealing with the aftermath. And the aftermath of Moon Knight is pretty big. Like a ton of people got sent to the afterlife. Everyone saw giant gods fighting. The avatars that did exist on Earth were all wiped out. And
true,
I don't know if there's any kind of judgment in the Overvoid for what Amit did, but there's a lot that is kind of that they'll have to figure out, at least in this version of Earth. Like there's people are shook into their core, by what they saw probably. But who knows? If they've seen like Thanos and they've seen aliens and they've seen
another Tuesday. Just another Tuesday.
NBD, we learned about a hidden country called Wakanda like 3 years ago, so I think we can deal with this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is so funny. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that this series was just as unique as we wanted it to be and as authentic as it was. And Oscar Isaacs killed it, which I don't think we had doubts about, but it's still good to kind of see something like this. But yeah, well, we've gone through and finished another MCU streaming show. Wow. Just another feather in our cap, huh?
So many feathers.
That's
filled with feathers.
Right, that's 6 hours we're not getting back, huh? I'm just kidding.
I get right.
No, actually, it's 12. It's closer to 12 because we pod about them after. So,
right.
A whole half day. No, but this is Moon Knight. Fantastic show. Let us know what you think about it. I think a lot of you are fans of it from what I've seen online and read in our replies. But Brent, what do you have to plug?
So go listen to the Delphin Pod Patreon. A lot of awesome stuff over there. Definitely, I do, things like top fives. We just started the new kind of weekly, movie show catch up kind of podcast called Screen Slush, which is a lot of fun to do. And I also have a podcast called Director Showdown that I host with my friend Adam and I. It's on a bit of a hiatus, but over 100 episodes of that. Really fun show about directors' careers that we really dive into. So yeah, check all that stuff out.
Nice. Definitely listen to that show. Listen to all the Dolphin Pod shows, and we will return. Unlike the untold return of Moon Knight, where we're kind of holding our breath, this show will definitely come back. If not tomorrow, in the coming weeks, as we venture into the next show. And I'm just gonna, we're gonna definitely go into the multiverse of madness, but I'm just gonna double check. Yeah. And Miss Marvel comes out June 8th of 2022. So there's going to be a new show in a couple of weeks. And then after that, we got She-Hulk. And by then, it's going to be Thor, Love and Thunder. So with nonstop Marvel, you will wish it stopped. You're probably going to call your podcast provider and try to get us canceled. And then the joke's on you. Down. Yeah. Is Spotify, as we've learned, does not censor their shows, so we're not going anywhere.
We're going nowhere.
Yeah, we're Roganing this. I will say, though, you'll probably see 100 episodes disappear overnight because of your emails. Okay, thanks so much. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See ya.